Hi, it's Yvette from KMC University. I'm glad to spend some time with you again today. I know a lot of us have wanted to say goodbye to 2020 as quick as possible. So we only have 30 minutes today, kind of like usual. And we're going to be talking about upping your game in 2021. It's going to move fast. We're going to cover several topics, but hopefully today is just something that's going to help you to kind of seat into some things that you may want to consider doing for your practice, maybe generate some thoughts, maybe cause you to pause and say, wow, I never thought of doing that. That's what all this is about. We're going to go ahead and jump straight to those slides today. And like I said, we're going to cover upping your game in 2021, saying bye-bye to 2020 and just getting this all behind us. And I know we're all looking forward to a fresh new start. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about the importance of verification on that very first visit, which we covered several times ago, but we're going to talk about it again for the beginning of the year. I know, not enough time in a day to do all that, Yvette. Great thing is, as you saw, we're going to talk about some time management too. We're also going to talk a little bit about the importance of team training. So if I'm going to tell you, you have to add in all of these verifications all over again, I'm going to definitely stress you need team training and some time management. And then I'm going to give you just a little snippet at the end of some very high points. I'm telling you, very little snippet at the end about what's coming on January 1st with those E&M code changes. It's huge. It's massive. Nothing's been done since 1997. And here we are at 2021. Imagine that. And there's a lot of changes. So let's go ahead and jump straight into what we're going to cover. And you're probably saying, oh gosh, why in the world is she going to talk about verification again? Well, I'm coming from a different angle. Last time I talked about it, we talked about how important it is when establishing a patient to the practice. But it's also important at the beginning of every year, maybe even when a patient starts a new episode of care. And the reason really is simple. It's called being proactive and making sure you get all your little ducks in a row. I know doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result is insanity. But I'm telling you, in this environment we're in right now, with all the changes that's happened with company and just in general, should have been doing it the first of 2020 before any of this happened, 2019. This needs to be your model moving forward and a proactive stance, because you don't want to go in the hole and have to be reactive where you're paying somebody 3 times to do something. Pay them the first time, second time to fix it, and the time lost while they were having to fix it. So we really want to be cautious and utilizing our time to the best of our ability and proactive. Being proactive is probably one of the best investments you can make. Now, we all know, again, like I said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And it can feel that way with verifications. But can we think of it a little bit of a different way today together? That would be, what about this? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Aha. So it's a little bit of a different way to spin it and maybe creates some optimism when we have to think about taking on another task. So sometimes it's dreadful because we have to sit there on the phone for so long. Become the master at master tasking. I'm going to tell you that now, because it's multitasking, because that's just the catalyst to being able to do verifications by phone. Because remember, KMC University doesn't think that we do them by the portals. Those are eligibilities and not verifications. So the answer is quite simple about why we're going to do it again. We have open enrollment period going on for both the patient and some change time for doctors. Medicare right now, we're in that open period until December 31st, where a doctor can elect to change their participation status. Now, a chiropractor can never elect to not be enrolled. So enrollment's not a question with Medicare. The chiropractor has to be enrolled. That's in their guidance and their regulations. You can't argue with it. But what you can do right now is say, I don't want to be par anymore. I want to be non-par. Oh, I don't want to be non-par anymore. I want to be par. And I will tell you that right now, if you're needing to enroll, it's probably the perfect time, but you got to go in par for this to happen. So not trying to influence your decision, but during this public health emergency, some people call it a PHE, you can do a rapid enrollment with Medicare if you're going in as a par provider. So do keep that in mind if that's something you're needing to do. Definitely get on that as quickly as possible. It was extended until sometime in January. We don't know if it'll get extended again, but things are changing. We're in open enrollment period, not just for providers with Medicare, but we're also in open enrollment period for a lot of employer-driven plans. My husband comes home every year and he knows I'm the expert on it, and he wants to know which plan, should we change plans? And it's like the plumber that has the horrible plumbing that don't want to talk about it anymore at night. I'm like, do I have to talk about it? Because I don't just simply check a box and do this so quickly. I want to do the math. If I stay up here and they give me HSA and I have this and my copay's that, on the average of what we spend, everybody's sitting at that. I mean, you've got some employers that'll do it at the end of the calendar year. Others will do it at the end of a fiscal. A lot of fiscal years are usually that ending in June, starting new in July. I have seen it March. It could be anywhere because that company picks their fiscal year. But those are your common places you'll see it. So open enrollment for employees to select new plan options. Maybe they can't afford something. Maybe they found out that they've got more illness and they want to have less payment out of their pocket, just not in a position to do it otherwise. How about the open enrollment for Medicare patients? Of course, Medicare patients can get in when they turn 65 by a couple other qualifiers throughout the year. But I put this here because we have to think about the Medicare Advantage plans. They can switch. They're in that period right now where they can switch. I don't want traditional Medicare anymore. I want this Medicare Advantage plan. I don't want this Medicare Advantage plan. I want traditional Medicare. Right now is their time to make that change. Why do you think all the commercials are out there about this Medicare Advantage plan will give you this medical drug coverage? All of this, everybody's trying to vie for business right now. So we're in open enrollment with Medicare. So we need to figure out who did they pick, because it inevitably, if they decided to go to a Medicare Advantage plan, when you get the claim back, if you send it to traditional Medicare and didn't do your due diligence of verifying, because the Lord knows they'll hand you that red, white, and blue card no matter what they really have. You're going to get something back from Medicare in a denial saying this is not, it's covered under a capitation agreement, which generally means they have a Medicare Advantage plan. So there's another reason. And when we think about being late on then submitting to the right payer, you've got to think some of these payers have a very short, very short timely filing, some 90 days. So by the time you would expect to get an EOB back, maybe from, let's say, Blue Cross, and you just sit there and wait, and you wait, and you wait. Maybe you don't have great follow-up. Maybe you're too overwhelmed, short staff. By that point, they're when Aetna's timely filing. So this is why this is such a pivotal year. Every year is pivotal, especially when you think of all these things, but especially this year. So maybe the employer needs to cut cost. They may do that a couple ways, changing a plan, or they may switch to third-party administrator. They may have always used Blue Cross, but Cigna came up with a better offer. They may have always used Aetna, but Blue Cross came up with a better offer. They have been impacted by the public health emergency this year, and just impacted by increasing expenses overall. Year after year, you will see employers change a different plan. So what if they keep the same, let's say the same third-party administrator, they keep Blue Cross, but because they need to cut cost, they decided, well, we're going to exclude this now. Oh, we'll only cover this many of this. And before you get headlong in telling a patient, well, you owe $40 a visit, not to realize the employer changed it. Patient didn't realize because they weren't paying attention. So many reasons why this is so important. What about those patients on the Affordable Care Act, the Obama plan, marketplace plans, where they have the option to change? I know that my daughter's mother-in-law, she just changed her product because another one had raised its rate. So she selected on the marketplace to go a different route. So if somebody didn't verify, again, not just asking her, but verifying what is that coverage, we would have told, the doctors would have totally missed it, billed the wrong payer. And I believe she selected one of those plans that had a 90-day timely filing. So look how much that's going to impact her caregivers if they're not paying attention. What about job changes? So I have a child that works at a particular place. Although the building is the same, there's several contractors inside that building. So maybe as a job assignment ends with this contractor, they then get hired by another contractor, and then that contractor has a whole nother different plan. So we can see the necessity. These are just a few of the reasons why you should. Obviously, you'll have better reimbursement. I mean, we can go that direction on talking about the positive impacts of your office. I think we can all see right now, we can't afford to get behind. We can't afford to build our own company. Money's tight for everybody. Everybody just stay on top of it. Take a few extra minutes. But Yvette, I had to let people go. With COVID, we just don't have the time. I've got a few employees left. I used to have this many. You know what? That's the reason you do good team training. So instead of this taking one employee's 80 hours, you divvy this out over the employees because they've all been trained well, cross-trained. We had a situation the other day when somebody came to KMC University and said, I believe they were one of our members, and they said, can you help us, please? Said, our biller has been out with COVID and we don't know how to send up billing. We can't send up billing. She's still in quarantine, won't be back anytime soon. Money's stopping up. They were dependent upon that. They have been that impacted by COVID. So with that, without the training and the cross training, money came to a screeching halt. That's why team training, team cross training is so important. If something changes, if somebody wins the lottery, like Kathy likes to say, or a health challenge, or even death comes about, can your office function? If not, there's a problem. So we look at what has been published by this Michael LeBoeuf, where he talks about, if you believe training is expensive, you truly don't know the cost of ignorance, and how true that is. I did an on-site back in October, and this became very real to me. I already knew the impact of not training, but I saw it so plainly in front of me when I stood up in front of a room of CAs, doctors, and tried to find the common ground in that room. And I couldn't even say 98940. I couldn't say CMT. I barely could say the word adjustment. How in the world do you expect your patients to know what's going on, for you to get scheduled for the right type of visit, for you to get collections in, for you to bill right, for you to do anything right, if your team has not been trained? You are setting yourself up for failure if you are skipping the most important element, and that is team training. Don't leave yourself sitting there empty-handed. If you've got a staff member wanting to control everything, you've got to break that barrier. What if something happens? I, at one time, was a hoarder of information in my head. And I realized the impact that I likely left when I walked out with all the knowledge in my head. By no means would I ever want that for anyone. And I've been the recipient of walking in on offices like that. Actually, the office manager suddenly passed away and nobody knew what to do. You can't leave yourself that vulnerable. But we can see that ineffective training costs money. Now, for bigger companies like about 1,000 people, it's about $13.5 million a year. If you bring that down to your practice of 5, you're talking about $5,000 a year in a cost for a small business. And you're going to have high turnover. So really, I think the cost would go up significantly when you really have to factor all things. But according to the HR magazine, if you invest about $1,500 on training for your employee, you're going to probably have about 24% more profit. This office that I went to in Pennsylvania was a disaster with their collections, absolute disaster. And until they allow the training to get in there and get out of their own frenzy, they're going to continue to struggle. Now, the minute that we get training in there, to learning in there, to understanding in there, we cannot make a change. We have to get understanding. So let's think about the old story. Everybody tells it a little bit differently, but it goes a little bit like this. Husband and wife sitting down for dinner. She decided to cook a ham and potato dinner for him, and he loved ham. His mom always fixed it for him. Seemed similar in its taste, but something very odd happened in the process of preparing it. The wife cut off the ends of the ham, and she stuck it in the oven just like she has every time, just like mom did, and just like grandma did. She's going to follow that family tradition because it's mouth-watering great. And husband's kind of sitting back perplexed, like, why did she cut the ends off the ham? There's plenty of room in that pan. I don't know what in the world was wrong with her. And it gets the best of him. And he's like, babe, we have got to call your grandma and ask her what the secret is behind it. Does it allow more juice in? What does it do? Really, what happens when you cut the ends off to the ham? Because it really kind of tastes like my mom's. So, maybe we all need a cooking lesson together. Just picks up the phone. Hey, Grandma, it's me. I just wanted to call you. I fixed the ham today. My silly husband wants to know why we've always cut the ends of the ham off. She goes, well, did you use a good sized pan? Oh yeah, there was plenty of room in my pan left over. The whole thing would have fit in there, but I mean, once I cut it down, I had plenty of room. And she goes, oh, honey, I guess the training that you needed, you didn't really get. You only heard it by experience. I am so sorry, baby. You probably just threw away a good amount of money because the only reason I cut the end off to the ham was because my pan was too small. And so we have got to leave the ends on the bacon on the end of that thing and bring home the bacon. We can't keep leaving money on the table because maybe we had a staff member we thought knew it all that didn't know it all. That's what I ran into in Pennsylvania. Maybe they've only had training because of what they saw in the software. You're going to merge to a new software. This is where we see a lot of issues, and we have to step in and fix fee schedules and fix all kinds of stuff here. We actually have a protocol for one particular software where we go in and fix fee schedules and have a whole training protocol around it. You can adapt it to any of them, but when we're talking about the training that comes from staff to staff, you've got to ensure that it's correct, because it could be costing you money, and what you thought was a good land of profit may be much less than what you could be getting. So make sure that your team is properly trained, and not just because they saw it, but because they learned it. And then it got from a different place of learning it, and it went all the way to an understanding. That means if everything falls apart in this world, and we leave being able to submit claims electronically, you can pull out one of those good old CMS 1500 forms. No cheats in the system. The system died. Everything went away. But that's where oh God, money stops, because we don't understand what it took. You could change to any software in the world. You could go to being on any piece of paper. And as long as you understand what it takes, it will happen. We see this with doctors with EMR systems. They don't have an understanding of what it takes. If you told them to put it on paper, or we look at their paper, we realize how wrong the paper was. How in the world do you ever expect them to get it right in the EHR? It's because there's no understanding. Any way you go, be it going from paper to EHR or back and forth, you have to have the concept down of what it takes to document, what it takes to bill, what it takes to modify, what it takes for this code, how you have to point here, how you have to do that, how you have to schedule for all their appointments, how you have to schedule this much time. You see what I'm saying? How it can so negatively impact your practice. You can't afford that. No one can afford that. So leave the ends on the ham and bring home some more bacon and get the right kind of training to this team. I sat down today and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to throw together a few ideas of why I think. This is just off the top of my head today. I didn't pull it from anywhere. I just thought, how important is team training to me? How important is it, or should it be, to offices? Now, those of you who are KMC University members, you fully recognize that little purple cube. That's the one when we're doing an orientation or guiding you in the library to something with a new employee. We're like, do not pass go, do not collect $200, go straight to basic CA training. Let us know when you're done and tell us what their job role is, and we can tell them where else to go. Or, we can work with them one-on-one. And a lot of times we take brand new staff members and train them. But let's think about how this works. So team, together each achieves more. We don't want Sally being the Lone Ranger, everything in her head, but we also don't want Bonnie having to do everything because no one else has been trained. So when we do proper team training, it fosters team spirit. It's a well-oiled machine. We have accurate and effective outcomes, things that are positive for this office, for the patient. All around, things are just brighter. We're all working toward a common goal. We're not scattered everywhere just thinking, okay, I guess I have to do it this way, and this one over here does it the other 2 hours of the day, and she does it the other way, and so they sit and they pull at each other. No, be consistent so we're all working towards a common goal. Training to learning to understanding. It was just an eye-opener for me recently with those. I can train you, but if you never learn it, and then if it doesn't go to understanding, it's a waste. Make sure they understand it. There's nothing wrong with that. Like even in our basic CA training and throughout our library, there's a lot of self-assessments where as an office manager, you could go back and look, not to say, I can't believe you don't know that, but to say, oh, okay, she needs some more training there. So just realizing opportunities for training, you'll have increased productivity. They know what they're doing. They're not sitting back scratching their head trying to make it up or figure it out. You'll have increased profits. One, because you're not going to waste so much money on payroll, and they'll be more productive and they'll know how to chase that down better. Increased patient retention, increased patient satisfaction, which then generally moves right on over into the land of referrals. They'll all have the same basic knowledge with cross training. They'll have job specific training for what they have to do. Through cross training, they won't be the only one. You'll have much less staff turnover. People just want to know what they're doing. And if you don't have your stuff together, don't expect them to have their stuff together. Don't expect somebody to come in and be your miracle salve. Because if it's that bad, you didn't have it together either. And I generally don't become that harsh, but that is the truth. And we see it every day. People relying on a staff member that they hired from off the street. I've walked into offices where they've hired from maybe just a local bar. Maybe they've hired from a restaurant, maybe from a gas station, just because they like personality. Be very cautious. Unless you've got a Loctite training program and compliance in place, know what you're doing. And also because you've got to satisfy those compliance requirements through HIPAA, OIG, OSHA, CLIA, all of those that apply in our offices. We've got to have our well-structured plans, and they need to be trained. And it establishes your practice culture. Not everybody, if we're having a very somber practice, not everybody's chippier. If we're having a very chipper practice, nobody's like, oh, bother. Everybody's matching that practice culture because they're well trained and they're on that target together. And all I could do is put "and" because I ran out of room. It's pretty simple. You can see the value in what it will be. And what is it really in it for you? So let's look at this together. We got 50% increase in efficiency. Oh my gosh, we all could use that. We have a much faster turnaround time on claims. Our reimbursements are up significantly, and we're getting paid for what we do because the staff knows what to do. When the insurance doesn't cover this, they know how to behave if they bundle it. They know how to use the NCCI edit modifiers. They know how to diagnose these points. And we can be so proactive. Of course, we have insurance companies that get a little crazy on the side, but we know how to deal with it, right? Absolutely. And the best way to do this is through time management. So we talked about verification, doing it at the beginning of the year. Yvette, that's going to be burdensome. Okay, then train some other staff members. Okay, then what about the time factor? Schedule it, manage it. If you're doing it haphazardly, then time is managing you. Nobody has time for that, as the lady said on Facebook. Ain't nobody got time for that. We want to make sure that we're managing time so it's not managing us. Because one thing you don't want to do is what Patrick Lencioni, I'm so sorry, what Patrick Lencioni said. If everything is important, then nothing is. Quit making everything important. I often had to tell Doc, he's like, come help me change the furniture. It was almost weekly. It was at least once or twice a month. I said, if I come and help you move the furniture, that you're going to be losing money because we don't get paid for me to move furniture. We get paid for me to work claims. And if everything's important, then realize that there's a lot that's going to have to go by the wayside, and more than likely it'll be in your back pocket. We also know that interruptions, oh dear, I threatened at that last office. I said, okay, guys, I'm changing my name. So if you can guess what my name is today, then I'll answer you. My name is not Yvette. My name is not Mrs. Noel. My name is not, hey, you, mom, whatever. It's not that. If you can guess what my name is, then you can interrupt me. Otherwise, I'm not going to hear you. And really all I was saying, hey guys, please cut down the interruptions, because everybody, it wasn't just the staff. I had a window right by my door, a big slender window, and our check-in area was right there. And people love to talk with me. I love to talk with them, but I didn't have time. So you'll find everybody wants a piece of you. You just cannot take the protection off your time, because time is of the essence. And it takes more time to do things, and we can't let those moments be stolen. That doesn't mean we become cold and insensitive, but we guard those. So A person generally gets about 7 interruptions per hour, generally takes about 5 minutes per interruption. I've never known one to take that small of amount of time. Then they end up spending about 4 hours a day in interruptions. They work 8 hours for you. You done interrupted them that much. That's 4 hours. Maybe you interrupted so much today, it was a whole 8. And 80% of the time, it's of little or no value. And we find out if we really start saving those things that are truly important, maybe setting up communication bins. I had to do that at that recent onsite up in Pennsylvania, where I set up communication bins and we used a piece of paper to communicate. It's not that I don't want you to talk, but don't interrupt for that. We're a doctor, we're out of toilet paper. No, calm bin. Or I told them, I said, I want a whiteboard. I want something up on the wall. That's the wish list. That's the order list. And if you know we're out of toilet paper, if you know we're out of paper towel, if we need Post-it notes, stick it on the board. Quit interrupting people. Be smart about your time. Be smart about what you're giving your time to, and make sure that you're managing the time and it's not managing you. Kind of look at this here when we think about those things that are urgent, not urgent, urgent quad 1, urgent quad 3, non-urgent quad 2, quad 4. You can see that there's some that's super important. The building's burning down, go get everybody out. And some that maybe aren't that shallow or broken, things. Maybe a short-term focus of something. Maybe just somebody called on the phone. Is Doc there? I need to talk to him. Actually, he's seeing patients right now. Could I take a message? Or I can have him call you back on a break. Now his wife calls, I had this happen. I need to speak to him right now. One of the kids has swallowed paint thinner. Immediately I put him on the phone. You have to know and manage their time also and not let everybody get to them. I commonly would, if I saw somebody going towards Doc, I'd say, hey, he's with a patient, you're gonna have to wait. Actually, if you could schedule time. People come in and wanna mark it, you will need to schedule a time to talk to us. We have administrative time set aside, and that's what's really important, is to really figure out what's important, what's not important, what can wait, and what can't wait. And really managing that through a process of managing, focusing, avoiding, and then limiting. Really find out from each other, is this truly important and it needs done right now? Or by when do you need this? Tell me when you need this by. Don't just tell me you got to have it right now. And if you said yesterday to them, can I tell you that could be a lack of planning on your part or a lack of follow through, holding their hand to the fire and saying, get it done. But be cautious that you're procrastinating, which causes havoc, which pulls them off of their task. Try to keep a calendar going or something that always keeps something in advance of you so that you are aware, keeping tickler files going. Keeping things in Outlook, however you keep your calendar, keeping it somewhere to where it doesn't sneak up. Maybe get alerts. I use my phone sometimes. Pay your car payment 5 days before it's due. So if I don't want to do it that day, I hit remind me tomorrow. Remind me tomorrow. And I never go past, but it lets me know it's coming up so I can be prepared. And we always want to make sure that we ask, by when do you need that? That's something we've learned very valuable here at KMC, because there's a lot of times we can think it's an emergency to us, but when is the do or die? And be ready to give those answers to your staff. So time management and really getting that into play really starts before that patient calls, goes through that whole cycle for reimbursement. You can see this is a lot of reimbursement stuff. And if you aren't keeping this cycle going and you're constantly just getting caught up in one of these or another, it's going to blow the cycle. And you can't afford it because look over here, you've got the receiving and posting of payments at about the 7 o'clock. And what if you need to appeal it? That whole side, if it's lacking and you're lingering too much on the right, you're going to completely miss your money. So some of the important things to remember are time will not change. Time goes on no matter what you do, as much as we'd like to stop it. I commonly say I went off of this life cycle I'm on right now, this merry-go-round. Somebody needs to let me off, let me go do something else. Sometimes when I feel overwhelmed by life in general, find out, are you wasting time? I do sometimes when I feel very overwhelmed, I find something else that needs my attention. That's just transparency. Set a time-related goal. Kathy told me one time, she said, think about it this way. What can I do in 1 hour? Don't set goals. I mean, you'll have long-term, but be realistic in them. Implement a time management system. Use tools that you can to help manage that time. Buzzers, alarms, nothing to go off loudly, but something to remind you, hey, you said you were doing this for this time frame. It's not done. Put it back where it was with all your notes. And then when it comes back up on your schedule, you'll do it again. Prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. Just like with real estate, location, location, location. When it comes to time management, it's prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. Delegate when you can. Install proper routines. Set time-related tasks, and then be systematic about that. Always make sure you're setting aside administrative time. Doc, they do need to talk to you. And to put your head in the sand and never talk to them and never ask for follow-ups, never still have your hand in that practice is a disaster. Set aside times where they can ask you. Set aside times that they know you're going to go to that comm bin and get those things out that they need you to address. Have a time that everybody can set aside for training, to handle tasks that are out of the norm and things that just eat things away, but things that are not part of the business itself, like I've got to touch patient like that. This is the follow-up, that prevention. Know that that staff member, if you think that she has a lot of time in a day, I will tell you, they usually don't, especially if you've got a 1CA office. This is a list of just some of it, very minute. That phone rings and you never know which hat you need to put on. A lot of different things that they have to go through. And having systems and training in place speeds it up for them. One great way to manage this is to identify all your tasks that you have to do daily, weekly, monthly, and then as needed. Put those in columns. If you're a KMC University member, this is in the third-party billing and collections, the follow-up system, the very first lesson. It's the time management toolkit. But you can see daily, weekly, so forth. You spread them out. Then you get your calendar up there. Again, this is part of that same tool where you start saying, okay, all those that are on that weekly, or daily, I'm going to put them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or they have to be done weekly, so I'm going to put that on Thursday. And then you list out everything and put it into a framework. Then when you go on to the next piece of that, you're going to then say, well, my reactive calls and my proactive calls go here. I'll do verifications here. And when my time is up, my time is up. You're going to be efficient about it. You may be able to say, well, I'm going to do insurance verification and posting. Because I can multitask. Well, I've got the phone on speaker until they pick up. I can do this. Always make sure you're not just sitting there and saying, oh, it's insurance verification time. I'm going to do nothing for 50 minutes while I wait on to pick up the phone. No, 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 no. Make sure that you've got things in there that will keep your time moving. Finally, I told you I was going to cover just a couple highlights of E&M coding. Obviously, we don't have the time. Just so you know, KMC University is doing a training tomorrow. You'll need to call us to get set up for the E&M coding changes. Massive, massive change. First one since 1997, coming about January 1st, right along with that new ABN form. Make sure you are aware of it. I put this here because there's some things I don't want you to hear. And take it as that's how you're going to move. But let's talk about those you will hear straight right out of the way it's coming out of my mouth. It will be effective January 1st, 2021. Everything changes. It's the first time since 1997. Then we go to the 99201 is going away. As a chiropractor, 99211 should have been gone a long time ago. That the minute you walk in the door, you're already at a 99212 in the old model. Now, what I don't want you to hear, I don't want you to hear what's not being said here. A lot of the code selection is going to the medical decision making and time component. So while a lot of us may jump up and down and say, if I just say what I'm going to do with them, and this is my thought, and I order this test, ooh, look at that, where did I get? And I spent this much time with them, and afterward cleaning all that up. There's my code. Please, if you've heard nothing else I say today, you have to hear what I'm saying. I don't want you to hear that I said medical decision making, focus there, and how much time you spend with them, and you'll make more money. That'll tell you what code to pick. Listen to me, chiropractors, physical therapists, whoever's listening today. You still have to support medical necessity, which is still going to come out of that chief complaint, out of the dysfunctions, out of your written treatment goals, out of the exam. That's how you're going to support medical necessity for the long haul. A lot of this really made probably just general medical doctors, where that's all they do, feel pretty happy. It pulls some of the burden off, but it didn't say you don't have to have it. It said when it's medically necessary, you pull the history and the exam. Let me tell you something right now, chiropractors. It is medically necessary every time you do one, because you have to establish the medical necessity for this span of care that we're doing this episode. Please do not hear that and go running and think you're scot-free on having to do the exam and the history. You're not, because that's how we as a profession support the medical necessity for the continued care. And the medical decision making and time, again, are going to be a lot of the components, but you can't skip it. Even though it says only if it's necessary, it is necessary for medical necessity. So hot topics, want to leave you with these. The ABN form, we discussed that my first couple times I was with you, has to be brand new. You should be on version for 2023, 6/2023. Make sure that you're doing it appropriately. There's a lot of people still doing it wrong. If you've got everything on your ABN, if you're doing it once a year, you better give somebody a call. We're a good place to call for that. E&M coding effect, Medicare open enrollment deadline for you to change from PAR to non-PAR is going to be December 31st. If you thought you wanted to get in on that, you better do that now. Medicare new enrollments, COVID emergency, only valid as long as this public health emergency is going on. You've got to be willing to go in as PAR, and if so, it can speed that along. A lot of people are getting in just a few days' time. You still have to go through the process of getting everything into them for the permanent enrollment, but make sure that you're doing that. Upcoming events tomorrow, KMC University doing the last minute, waited on some of these last minute things to change. Are you ready for that January 21st? The January 2021 E&M coding changes. For more information, 855-832-6562. And then if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us at any time. We're here. Any questions that came up today, if we brought up a thought or if something just comes up for you organically, let us know. ChiroSecure. Next week, please join them as Janice Hughes will be presenting. I'm sure that's always a great time for you guys. I definitely appreciate you letting me join you today, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time. I'll be with you again in the early part of January. Have a great day. Bye-bye.